Making sure I've got everything set. Which I don't. Swapping out my glasses. All right. And it should have started streaming automatically, I think. Yeah, it started automatically. All right, guys. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. And in today's video, we're going to continue on with my American War of Independence project, but we're also doing a terrain building video, but which these are going to be roads and rivers specifically for Freeman's Farm, but these roads, intersections, and roads and rivers, they could be used in any project. It's just that I wanted to make some bespoke for the Freeman's Farm. I've got other roads that I use for other things. I use them for my ancients. I use them for my World War II. I use it for my Napoleonics, and I use it for my American War of Independence. Okay, I deliberately brought out two roads that I had finished previously, and I wanted to show you these roads, and I think they're on camera. Yeah, they look like they're on camera. I like the look of this road better than I like the look of this road. It's just a personal preference. You know, they both work just perfectly fine. This one gives me the impression that it's kind of muddy or, you know, a darker earth, but I like this lighter earth shade. Also, this is a very smooth road. It's basically what I've done with these guys, just textured and put grass on the outer edge, right? Where and then a little bit of so it's basically these made straight into a road, where these are added 2 extra steps, and we're going to add those 2 extra steps today because I really do like this road way better than this. Now, I might actually be able to I'm gonna contemplate. I've only got one of these roads like this subpar road. I think what I'm going to do is attempt to convert it into this type of a road. All right. First step, that lighter brown. It's a nutmeg. I'm going off of memory, but I think this undercolor is nutmeg. We're going to try a couple of them with nutmeg just to see if I'm on the right track, because it might also be a different color. And it should go on top of this dark brown nicely. Now, these have not completely dried yet. I did these this morning, so there is a chance, a potential, that these are not dry. Okay, now it looks like there's a chat that came in, and I'm going to go read that chat, but normally what I'll do is hold off answering any chats until the end of the stream, because I don't have the computer right here with me. It's actually like 100 yards away at my computer desk, so give me a second. Okay, it looks like the Krause collection. Hey man, it's been a while since I've seen a chat from you. But that's okay. I've been watching your videos as well, actually. And I was very impressed with the amount of American War of Independence that you have. You have like almost every single regiment known to man, but I'm not anywhere near that. But I'm glad I was able to inspire you to maybe refight the American War of Independence battle, Freeman's Farm. Okay, so I've got these measuring cups, but mainly just they're not really. I don't really measure anything with them. I just use them as an on-table, or I should say at the table, okay, that seems like it's really runny. I don't know, maybe I added too much water to it or something. Okay. Yeah, it's very runny. I was going to say it smells a little bit like chocolate. Okay, so I'll just have to make sure that I do 2 coats. Because that, you can see the dark brown is shining, is coming through. And I thought I shook it up really well. I don't know, I might have put too much water, or maybe it was sold to me as very thin. I don't know. This is my second bottle of nutmeg. And I don't know if it's the right color. Maybe. Does that look like it's going to be the right color? I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be it needs to be a little darker, a little less red. It might darken up as it dries though, because you know how paint is. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a second coat. I went ahead and replaced the wax paper. I didn't, because when I was peeling off all of the felt with the putty on them, when I was peeling off the roads and rivers from the wax paper, a couple of spots it had torn the wax paper. And I just made a command decision to go ahead and use some more wax paper. Okay, so I'm going to have to let this dry a little bit. I think it is the color. I think it is. Because actually, honestly, this is only like an undercolor because I put another color on top. I use camel to give it that two-tone light look. So I think I'm going to do all of them and then come back and do a second coat. Okay, now it's got some chunky paint clogged in there. Okay. might have to just pour it and not squeeze it out. Okay. Okay, this gives me an opportunity to remember to put my gloves on. You know what? Okay, I went ahead and grabbed some real brown. It's much darker brown. I'm not going to put a whole lot in there. I just want to put a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a... Okay, something freaky just happened. My printer just started kicking stuff out. Okay, for some reason it just said toner was low. And then it printed a bunch of stuff out to tell me. That's odd. You would think it would appear on the computer screen, especially if the toner's low. And if it's that low, how would I ever see it if it did, you know? Or am I being hacked? Yeah, the nozzle seems to be clogged. It's very weird. Okay, either way. These are the river pieces. They're going to have, I'm going to do an olive drab. I've decided that I'm going to do an olive drab riverbed. I thought about a color called holly leaf, which is kind of like almost like a blue-green. It's more green than blue though. And it's called holly leaf. It's really good. I thought about doing that to give it kind of a different color, a bluish color instead of the olive color. But I really don't know. I don't know which direction I want to go with that. When we get to the rivers, when I'm coloring them, then I'll decide at that time. Now, I almost wish, like, okay, this is going a lot thicker, that adding that a couple of drops of real brown really helped with that, it looks like. But again, I'm still going to have to do 2 coats. And you can see it's almost like they're glued down because that paint, that Rust-Oleum camouflage brown paint that I painted these with initially, again, I painted the edges so that when you lay it on the table, the edges will actually have some paint as well. It doesn't really matter. I know I was looking at that one over there. It doesn't look like I painted the edge. But the felt underneath actually shined through, but it didn't matter because it was brown felt. A lot like these guys. These are all brown felt, except for the rivers. The roads were all brown felt, so even if I wasn't able to paint the edges, which I definitely did on these, I made it a mission to do that. Yeah, you can see that one definitely needs a second coat. Okay, well, these are all wet, and they're all going to need a second coat. Oh, I'm out of paint. Okay. Okay. Something's going on with the paint in here. It's settling at the bottom, and but it still feels like it's got a very thick, what's the word I'm looking for? A very thick, mostly thin. There it is. That's the word. It feels like it's got a lot of water in it. This was a new bottle. I think I took my remaining paint from the other bottle and put it into this bottle, but I also might have added some water to thin it out. Yeah, there's a lot of air bubbles in there. You might need to get something and stick it down in there and stir it up. some rods like this. Nope. I don't feel like super thick paint down there at the bottom. Maybe a little bit. Doesn't feel like it's super thick. It feels like it's runny. Maybe that's just what I'm going to have to work with. Give me a sec. Okay, I got to go over by the computer. Okay, I think I remember now. I had ordered this paint here called Chocolate Bar. What's going on with my monitor? Okay, the camera froze. Okay. Camera is frozen. Let's see if I can't fix that. Okay, let's test that. It looks like it is on. Waving my hand. Yep, you see movement now? Okay. Yep, well, I did all these. Now, this is only the first coat. But I remember now that I ordered a color called Chocolate Bar. And I think it was specifically for this purpose. I also have something called Bark Brown, which is a second bottle from the one that I had previously. And this chocolate bar is not open. And Bark Brown and Chocolate Bar look very similar, almost exactly the same. So I'll just continue. I'll just use the Bark Brown. Yeah. Just so I can save on that real brown. Okay. So I'm using the liquefied nutmeg as almost just a thinner for the rest of the paint. Okay. Still very thin. But what I want to do is something I probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to anyway. Okay. That went on with one coat. Okay, let's... Now I really only need to do the center parts because, again, the outer edge is going to be blocked and have now before this second coat dries, I'm going to do a little texturing. Okay, so we only did those. You notice I've got my sand, I got a gravel, but sand and a little bit of gravel in there. And what I do is I just sprinkle very little bit. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. I mean, almost none actually. Just spread it out just to give it a little extra texture. Whoa, that was way too much drop, but that's okay. As you know, terrain is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be imperfect. And if some of the bigger chunks drop, that's perfectly fine by me. I like having a little bit of variety in the texture. Okay. Also, don't expect all of the sand to stick, because this paint is not glue for one thing, and if I put too much sand, the top layer of the sand, it's not going to stick, right? So when I go to paint the camel, it's going to knock a lot of the sand off. I'm not going to do that for the riverbeds, even though they could probably benefit from that. I really don't need to do this color on the rivers because, like I said, I'm going to be putting a green color down. Yeah, I think that is perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash the brush and I'm going to wash this cup um, so that we can move on to other colors. I've got a whole stack of these cups, but I'd like to wash them to preserve them and so I don't have to throw them away. I could just take this and throw it away, but like you probably already know, I'm a miser and I like to save things. So yeah, let me just go ahead and wash these. We still have to let this all dry before we move on to the next step. Okay, we got a nice clean cup again. And the brush, clean enough. All right, so now we're just gonna wait. I can put some of this away that I'm not going to use for the next step. Speaking of which, I did upload. I've already edited and rendered the 2 videos from yesterday. One was the Continental Army, and one was the British Army for Freeman's Farm. And I have one scheduled to come out. I think it's scheduled to come out at 12, and then the second one is scheduled to come out at 2. That should give YouTube enough time to render, to what do? They scan it and stuff to make sure I'm not using foul language, stuff like that. So that should give them enough time to do that. So if you're interested, look that up at 12 and at 2. That's Central Time now. That's not UTC. That's Central US time. Okay. Oh, I guess I could have put this one away too. All right, try to keep my workspace free and clear. Now I pulled out my my flock, my static grass that I normally use on my figures, and I realized that that's not what I did on these roads. Okay, let's go ahead and put the sand away. I'll pull the flock out that I'm planning on using. Okay, so I got this blended turf. This is the earth blend. It's kind of like a brown. It's more of a brown than the green blend, obviously. So we'll be sprinkling that on the edges. And then I have something called that's the green blend. Of course, here we go. And then I've got this green blend, but it's coarse turf as opposed to this blended turf. Blended turf is like very thin. It's really good for like HO models, but also for 15 millimeter. This coarse turf comes out very, very chunky, and that's what I put as a second layer. But I put it kind of sparingly on there, kind of like how would you explain it? Kind of like blotchy with gaps, just to give it a less than perfect look. On the rivers, I think I want to use some tufts as well, but that can come much later. I don't need to do that. Now, thinking about my olive drab, I really think I want to use that. See if I can find it again. Okay. And I also have Hunter Green, which Hunter Green is actually I think it would would be a really good color for a riverbed. Because you can see it's not like an olive. It's a weird color. But this is it. This is the holly leaf. And I don't know if this shows up on camera very well, but you can kind of see it's got kind of a bluish green color. And since I'm only doing these, I think it'll look really good. Now, I might put this down first as a base coat and then put this on top of it so that this isn't fighting with the brown. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Now I've got these brushes here. I bought a set of brushes. You know, this one has never even been used. And this one's got a point to it. And this one's flat. And they're very stiff. They're like... And I was recommended to get this one because it's completely flat on the top. As a dry brush kind of thing. But when I'm making big terrain boards, using this to kind of put splotchy terrain color, like just to make it so it's imperfect. And then I've used this brush as kind of, both of them really, kind of as a dry brush because it's very stiff to dry brush but I don't think I'm going to do that today. I don't think I'm going to use these because they are maybe a little too stiff. I think I'm going to use the exact same brush. It's got kind of a, it's a nylon, what is this? I think it's a 1.5 inch. Doesn't say. Normally they say right there. But it's soft enough that I think I'm going to be able to put the camel on here. This one. I've got this tester's brush, which is like maybe a 1/2 inch brush, to do the riverbeds because I don't want to cover the entire thing. I want to leave the brown on the outside edge so that there will be a river bank, and that river bank is going to have block on it. But the river itself is going to be that green color. Yeah, I think about these things. I think about all the different directions. Now, am I going to use the water effects on these guys? I've been thinking about it. I have them. Why not use them, right? But I also have that clear latex. But I think the water effect would be better. It's specifically designed for this type of thing. Now the problem I had with Woodland Scenics grass, even on other models, it's made out of sponge, shredded sponge, And if I block this and then later go in with any kind of paint or glue or anything like that, the sponge would do just that. It would soak it up into, and you would see it going into the grass. So I think I want to put the water effect down first, leaving the outer edge unflocked, and then go in and flock it once the water effect dries. That way it doesn't stick to the water effect. Either way you go, I think it's going to be almost a nightmare. Actually, I could probably block. Okay, I'm brainstorming. I think I could block it first, and then when I put the water effect down, if it does get soaked up into the sponge, it'll be okay because it'll be like the riverbank, like it's wet on the riverbank. And I think that'll have actually a pretty good looking effect. So yeah, I think I'm going to block it first. I think. We'll figure it out. Okay. It hasn't dried yet. It's still shiny. Really, it's just, it's a waiting game right now. Yeah, I think I turned off the autofocus so I can't like move the camera in really close so you can see what I'm looking at. I guess I could go run over there and turn autofocus back on. But if you look at this river, these rivers, there's a lot of imperfections. I actually kind of like that. Namely, right there, there's like a big sinkhole right there where the putty must have soaked into the felt, or I didn't cover it very well. And down here, you've got this swooping edge where when I probably drug my finger, I probably went off like that. And it's got kind of this a swoop, if that makes sense. And there's a little bit of sinkholes going on right through there. And then over here, it looks like there's a finger, not a fingerprint, but I must have hit the end and went up like this because it looks like it's got kind of this edge. Okay. Better not mess with it because I'm pulling the paint off. But that's okay. Those are a lot of imperfections that I actually prefer in my models. Okay, I'm looking at the roads. They all look really good. Except for this one. This road right here, this whole side right here, goes up just a little bit. You know, like gives me a little bit of a roll. Goes up like that. But all the other ones are laying perfectly flat. Yeah. It's got like a little bit of a roll to it. That's okay. Over time it'll actually flatten out. I'll just put it on the bottom of the pile so the weight will push it down flat. I don't know. Like these guys. Yeah. They're all looking good. Except for maybe that one. But that probably connects to something else that fits well with it. Yeah, when you cut them at an angle like this, you get a wider. It's just geometry. If you got parallel lines and you cut it straight across at 50 millimeters, if you cut it at a 45 degree, you're going to get like a 75 millimeters. That's why sometimes I'll cut off the tip of a curve like that so that it will only be 50 millimeters. But I didn't do that on any of these because they fit perfect in the bespoke map that I did. One of them I think I did cut the corner. I'm trying to look to see if I can find it. I know one of them I did cut the corner off of a big major curve. I actually don't see it, which is weird because you would think it would stand out. Yeah, I don't see any corners cut. Well, there's a little bit of a corner cut there, but there really doesn't need to be one because it's perfectly straight across. Yeah, where two roads came together and I cut it, I would have rounded the top edge. And I don't see, I haven't done that on, or it doesn't look like I've done that on any of these. Maybe I did it on a river. No, rivers aren't cut either. I don't know. Maybe there's a road out there somewhere that I didn't finish. I could have swore I cut the edge off of one of them. But maybe I didn't. And it's still drying, so I don't want to end the video short. But there is going to be a dry time. Okay, let me go to the computer desk, see what's going on. Should be able to hear me at the computer desk. Like, what the heck was going on there? Now this camera is frozen. There we go. Okay, I'm back. Yeah. Everything should be good there. So you don't see it because I don't have the second camera over here, but on my workbench right here, I've got some West Wind Russians from World War II. I just finished washing them. Actually, I washed them yesterday, but I need to file their bases down and glue them to some washers. And then I also have anti-tank gun for them, a Ziz 3, I think is what it's called. And I have some snipers and some flamethrowers. I noticed that there are, and there's not very many troops over there, maybe 30, maybe less. And they those are 100% going up on the store once I get them finished. I have a command pack, a sniper flamethrower pack, a rifle pack, and the anti-tank gun. So there's basically 4 packs. The anti-tank gun is pretty much self-contained, but I noticed that flamethrowers would go in engineering squads, and engineering squads could have, here, let me see if I can pull this up. I use a program called Easy Army. EasyArmy.com. Let's see if I could turn on central display. There we go. Go to bolt action and new platoons. Okay, if you look right up here, the top handful, it's all version 3. Okay, I can't see anything with these glasses. That was my, I'm working at the table glasses. These are, I'm working at my computer desk glasses. I'm actually thinking about ending the stream just because of dry times. But here, while we're at it, okay, there's the rifle platoon, but more importantly, we got the engineer platoon. And remember, this is bolt action 3rd edition. When you go to the engineers, here, let's lock everything open. Boop, there we go. Assault engineer squad, which is what I'm going to build over here. But I'm going to build it as minimum as possible because it's 4 men and an NCO. So I'm going to make it 5 men. But right there, 1 man can have a flamethrower. So because I have 2 flamethrowers, I can make 2 squads like that. Let me double check. Make sure I can do that. Is he a flamethrower? What is he? Yep, he's a flamethrower. Okay, flamethrower. I'm just going to do 3 riflemen. A total of 4. And then NCO submachine gun, right? But I only have 1 guy with a submachine gun. It doesn't make sense, but that's okay. It says may have a submachine. When I say may have a submachine gun, so you don't have to give them a submachine gun. You can give a bunch of guys your rifles. So I could take one of my riflemen and include it into that squad. Okay, so there's 2 5-man squads. One of them has a submachine gun and they both have flamethrowers. Okay, that works for me, right? And then in that same vein, I could have done a 2-man flamethrower team separately. Okay. Now, if you go with the rifles, which that's your, I would think that would be your base list. you've got you can go regular infantry, cavalry, whatever. Scout squad. I'm concerned. What does a scout squad have? It's got 4 men. Submachine gun. Basically nothing. Okay, never mind. But I know there's snipers somewhere. Sniper team? Okay. 2 men. Sniper has a rifle and the spotter has a pistol. Okay, I could do that. Because I've got 1, 2, 3, I think 4 snipers. Right? And I've got this command group with a bunch of guys carrying pistols. So I could just put them in there as spotters. Okay, okay, so there's going to be 4 sniper teams. But I still have some rifles left over. I've got like 6 riflemen and 2 guys with binoculars. Oh, you know, I could make just a couple of scout squads. Because I could do 5. The NCO is the guy with the binoculars. And everybody else has a rifle. Oh, weapons, rifles. Yeah. So I've got no, that's not true. That would only be 2 groups of 4. That won't work. I mean, I could take one of the guys or 2 of the guys. I could take and make a 5-man squad of just rifles. And then I would have 2 guys with binoculars and another guy with a rifle. And I could just make them officers, like the platoon. Whoops. A platoon commander, right? An officer and up to 2 further men. So one officer. Pistol, submachine gun, rifle, or assault rifle as depicted on the model. So I could actually just make 3 officers. The guy with the rifle could be an officer. That's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. So I'm going to have some officers, anti-tank gun. I'm going to have a 5-man squad. I'm going to have 4 sniper teams and 2 engineering squads with flamethrowers. That's what I'm planning on doing. 11 o'clock. Because I would hate to do anything that's not on camera. Right? So, this is what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to have to think about it, but this is what I probably am going to do. I'm probably going to end the stream and then let that dry. And then once it's dry and I'm ready to move on to the next step, I'll turn my cameras back on. So at about, but then again, I was planning on playing some Skyrim today, but I can always put that off. There's no rush for that. It's just me wanting to do that. So maybe at 12, maybe an hour from now, I might turn the camera back on. And plus it'll give me a chance to eat some lunch actually too. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. All right, guys. Um, this is not the end of the live stream. This is just the end of the first half of the live stream. What I'm going to do is take an hour break, allowing that to dry, and allowing me to eat some lunch. And then I will be back at 12 o'clock. Come on back to the stream. Keep your eyes open, and we'll We'll resume. I have to do the camel, but when I dry brush the camel on there, it should dry like within 5 minutes. It should be dry, and then I can start flocking the sides of the roads and the rivers, and then maybe put some water texture down as well. So knowing that, maybe I should start with the river paint first, because I'm going to do 2 layers. I'm going to do the hunter green, and then I'm also going to do the holly afterwards. So, okay. So that's what we'll do. We'll be back at 12 o'clock. I'll see you then.